What happened?
I'm really excited to chat about Teacup. I've seen the first half of it, and it is just gripping from start to finish thus far. Yvonne, I'll start with you, and then Scott. What was it about this show and Ian's vision for your characters that really sparked both of your interests to be a part of it?
It seems to be, well, not seems to be. I remember thinking, wow, this is like a really classy piece of writing for what we're doing here. For horror, it's got a lot of depth to it, which is, I think, maybe surprising, and so it's surprisingly emotional as well. I remember sitting down with Ian and speaking to him about the project, and he just had such a great vision for it as well, and in what he wanted to sort of focus on, even though it is a genre piece, and how he wanted this to turn out. So yeah, I think it was a combination of the script and the people involved, and especially Ian, that got me excited to be part of this.
I mean, yeah, for me, it's very similar to Yvonne. I mean, I had known Ian's writing from other things, and when I heard he was doing something in the horror space, I was very excited to read it because I knew it was going to have his own unique style of writing. He writes a lot of like interesting Western type stuff, character-based things, so I thought if there could be some meeting of the minds there, it could be something very unique for the horror space. So, and I was right, the scripts were great, and particularly the drama of the family dynamic and where it started and where it was going. I thought, wow, if we can get whatever's on the page here onto the screen, that's going to really work,
Well, and since you mentioned the family dynamic, I really find your character's dynamic so fascinating to watch, as there does seem to still be an underlying love for each other there, even if, excuse me, Scott, your character is sort of maybe making mistakes along the way. I don't want to give spoilers away, but what was it like for you both, really finding that dynamic with one another and making sure that audiences felt for these characters, even if they were on rocky ground?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, for me, I don't think there's any way to really control what the audience is going to do at this point in my career. I knew Yvonne's work so well from other things like Handmaids and other stuff like that, and I could really see, how she was going to be a great partner in the scenes we had to do throughout. So I was really instinctually, I was just like, if we can get, together and do what I do and then definitely do what I think she's going to be able to do. I think these scenes are going to be really dynamic, and I do think the audience is going to come along for the ride, whether it's on the genre level or the family dynamic level, where definitely my character is not in the best of lights, but hopefully, I thought maybe we could win them back over time.
And then Yvonne, for you, what was it like on your side of the fence, trying to find that dynamic with Scott and allow audiences to really connect with how you're feeling?
I love what we did with it. And I think that it's lovely to have such a thoughtful, amazing acting partner to, get through these scenes, because they were pretty challenging. And Scott is incredibly thoughtful. And I think the combination of having a thoughtful showrunner and some thoughtful actors, we really nutted this out in such a way where I think the audience is going to stay with us for this crazy ride, because things get real weird and we really need them to stay on board with us, and we really need them to root for us and to root for this relationship that is broken. So yeah.
Well, I'm really curious to see how that goes in the second half of this season. I know I'm definitely rooting for you guys, even if the first half has sort of put you on opposite ends. And since we talk about the craziness, I'd love to hear what both of your first reactions were when you saw what happens when someone goes on the other side of the line, because I know I was, as a horror genre fan, even I was quite shocked by that visual. But what was it like for you both when you saw that?
I mean, for me, I was doing one of the first ones, I think, with a character in one of the earlier episodes. And what was cool, what was awesome, was it wasn't, looking at a tennis ball on a tripod or a green screen kind of thing. It was most of it was practical effects that were, detailed later. So we actually had something amazing to work with, and it was, very off. At this point in my career, I've done so much that it doesn't really do a lot to me, but I thought the artistry of the whole thing was what was mind-blowing to me. Whether it was grotesque or not, or scary or not, was like not the most interesting part. I was more interested in, wow, the craftsman of what these people did was amazing, and that we had this to look at was incredible. But it's always fun. You know, at the end of the day, you sort of have to just jump off the cliff and go on that ride with the craziness that's happening in front of you, and it was very easy to do with that prop, really.
And then Yvonne, do you have anything you wanted to add on your front?
Yeah, I mean, I think I came in a little bit late in seeing this amazing, I'm going to call it a sculpture because it is a work of art. It's an amazing sculpture. And I mean, my first reaction was I was genuinely blown away. And like Scott, I mean, we've been around the block. We've seen so many of these kinds of things. And this one really took my breath away. I thought it was extraordinary. I can't believe what they came up with, you know, because I remember reading it, and the description of it in word form was, you know, wow. But my first thought was, how on earth are they going to create this? You know, what's the visual going to look like? It seemed like such a challenge. And it seemed like such a challenge because it's hard to make it not look, you know, cheesy or just not kind of real, even though it's a real kind of fantastical element of the show. But they really pulled it off to the point where I was, you know, really blown away. Well,
I can't wait for when people get to see it when the show premieres, and to spread the word about the show, because I really am hooked. I really can't wait to see what comes next. And as fans of you both, going back to the likes of Underworld and Chuck, it's been an honor chatting with you. So thank you both so much for taking the time. I really do appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.